Please sit down. We will start. We will go ahead with the questions.
Dear Bhagavan, do you have any news for us for 2012?
Yes. Yes, we have some news. 29th of January, we would be introducing a new kind of Diksha. This Diksha would be enormously powerful. People should be able to move into awakened states quite easily. And repeatedly taking these Dikshas should very naturally lead to awakening too. Besides that, in the month of March, there will be special Dikshas at the temple which should help people to move into awakened states very fast and to become awakened. Also, from March onwards, awakened people will gather in the temple to meditate for the sake of the world. Only awakened people would be allowed into a temple on that day, and they would gather and they would meditate with Amma and Bhagavan for the transformation of the world. So that's the news for you for 2012.
Thank you, Bhagavan. Thank you, Bhagavan. Bhagavan, if awakening can only happen through grace, what is the main obstacle that makes the Diksha not able to cause this neurobiological shift in someone?
There are two things involved here. One is the individual's readiness and preparation. The other is the power of the Diksha. In the initial stages, the power of the Diksha was not enough. So people had to work harder. But as we are approaching 2012, people do not have to work that hard because the power of the Diksha becomes much, much greater. So in 2012, you will see people making it more easily because of the enormous power of the Diksha. The Diksha has taken about 23 years to come to this level.
Thank you, Bhagavan. To get an awakening, how much work or responsibility lies on the individual and how much work and responsibility is on Amma Bhagavan? Can you please tell us in percentage, Bhagavan?
We cannot talk about this in terms of percentages because in the initial stages you have got to do more work and Amma Bhagavan could do only a little. But as time progresses, more and more work is done by Amma Bhagavan and less by you. So in 2012, we could roughly say that 90% will depend on Amma Bhagavan and 10% on you. It's a varying thing.
Thank you, Bhagavan. Bhagavan, can you please explain the difference between awakened states and being awakened?
They are very different. Awakened states come and go. Like waves in the ocean, they keep coming and they keep going. And in the awakened state, you could still get hurt. Still there could be pain. And you are very much there, even though you are in a awakened state. To be awakened is to be in a permanent state, a state where you are no longer there. You have clearly realized that there is nobody there to become awakened, and you are gone, and you do not get hurt, you do not get pain. It's a very different state. So the awakened state is very different from what we call the awakened one. Yes, next question please.
Thank you, Bhagavan. How can one remain in an awakened state at work when I am with others? I find it difficult to keep the peace I can feel at home when I am by myself, but not at work.
When you are truly in an awakened state, it does not matter where you are, whether you are alone or in a crowd, whether you are at work or at home. But if the awakened state is very weak, then certainly you would be more comfortable staying at home.
Thank you, Bhagavan. Dear Sri Bhagavan, sometimes people think when you are awakened, you should be only happy. Can you please speak about that, Bhagavan?
When you are in an awakened state, you may be happy, you may not be happy. But once you are awakened, which is very different from being in an awakened state, you are always happy. For the simple reason, you are not there. When you are not there, what is there is only consciousness. And the nature of consciousness is joy and happiness.
Thank you, Bhagavan. Beloved Bhagavan, when I take Diksha from my Padukas, I always been doing it for a month, try to anchor a state of absolute freedom. An earlier transcendental experience of mine in the Padukas, and now I clearly feel that this transcendental consciousness expands a bit for every time I take Diksha from the Padukas. Dear Bhagavan, is this something to go on with? And will you please comment on this, Bhagavan?
You do not have to do this forever. You have to do this only till your state has become sufficiently deep and permanent. Once permanency is achieved, you need no longer do this process.
Thank you, Bhagavan. Bhagavan, it seems to me that those who are having the deepest experience from Diksha are those who have been on a spiritual path for many years and have worked on lot on themselves and their charges. Is Diksha more like the final push after doing all these preparations? Is it really possible for ordinary people who have not been on spiritual path or done years of work on themselves and their charges to become awakened through Diksha?
The real thing that matters here is your past lives. If we were to take into account what you have done in this life, there is no way you could get awakened. Actually, all of you are great seekers who have worked through hundreds of lives and through thousands of years. It's the past which matters, your past lives. So from that point of view, you are well prepared. What was required was the Diksha power to push you. The Diksha power has been growing ever since 1989 and it reaches a peak in 2012 and therefore it will be able to push you to the other side. But you have done your work, but not in this life, but in past lives.
Thank you, Bhagavan. I have a deep desire to stay in touch with my inner divinity in stressful situations. For example, when I have to concentrate mentally at work or when conflict arises. Is there anything that I can do to keep in touch with you in these situations, Bhagavan?
It is most important that you are in touch with the inner divine in difficult circumstances. And for that to happen, you must build a great bond between you and the Antaryaman. If that happens, the more stressful the situation, the more easily you'll be able to connect. And if you could connect to the divine, everything's taken care of.
Thank you, Bhagavan. What criteria should be met in order to be one of the 8,000 people that will sit in the temple and meditate for the future of humanity?
To sit along with 8,000 people and meditate with Amma Bhagavan for the welfare of mankind, you have got to be awakened.
Thank you, Bhagavan. Beloved Bhagavan, there seems to be a lack of commitment and desire to give the Diksha and to initiate new Diksha givers in some parts of Denmark. Can you please give us a blessing for Denmark, Bhagavan, so that we work towards oneness?
Yes, I'll give a strong blessing for Denmark.
Thank you, Bhagavan. Dear Bhagavan, I feel only emptiness inside without any expectation. What comes next? I don't even have a goal in my thought anymore. Please can you give me an explanation as to what is happening to me, Bhagavan?
You are getting very close to being awakened.
Thank you, Bhagavan. Dear Sri Bhagavan, what can we, Norwegians, do to spiritually activate the Norwegian people? Would it be advisable to give Diksha to the map of Norway? Every time when the trainers and the blessing givers meet, Bhagavan, please give a blessing for Norway, Bhagavan.
It will work in a very powerful way to give a Diksha to the map of Norway. I will also bless Norway.
Thank you, Bhagavan.
So the questions are over. We shall now meditate for a few minutes.
Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Love you all. Love you. Love you. Love you. Namaste.